Viewers, the genocide of Hindus, their subsequent mass exodus and then externment from the valley has scarred lakhs of lives. You know this. The survivors of the Holocaust have not even been dignified. Many governments went to great lengths to deny them justice by not only refusing to recognize the crimes committed against them, but also willfully rub salt into their wounds by shamelessly rewarding their killers. Over the last 32 years, the killers of Kashmiri Hindus got security cover and other perks. Cases filed against them were closed for the want of attention. They were courted as the legitimate voices of Kashmir, even though they confessed to their crimes on TV, on camera. Their relatives were given state jobs. Imagine, viewers, if the Nazis who butchered Jews were courted after World War II by all world powers, instead of being sent to the gallows, were invited by the United Nations for a conference on human rights. It happened here, viewers. The Yasin Maliks, the Mirwaiz Umar Farooqs, the Gilanis, the Shabir Shahs were held up as stakeholders of the Kashmir process. They were legitimately involved in peace dialogue. Viewers, many of them were held up as human rights crusaders. How would Jews react if Nazis were given this kind of a pedestal, this kind of an honor? How would you react? What would you call those who feted the Nazis? Wouldn't you call them genocide enablers? Then why are you, viewers, not going out there and calling those guilty of enabling the genocide of Kashmiri Hindus genocide enablers? I'm doing it here on this channel, night after night. Viewers, over the last few years, unfortunately, the killers of Hindus in Kashmir, they might have been exposed, but they're certainly not paying for their crimes. They're not in jail. Your passivity also has to end. Even today, when for the first time their story is being told in a movie called Kashmir Files without apologies and pre-qualifications, and Indians and others around the world are waking up to their plight, a dangerous counter-information campaign has been launched by the very same ecosystem that turned the perpetrators of the most ghoulish genocide on Kashmiri Hindus into icons to discredit the truth, viewers. Yes, the movie is being viewed as propaganda. It's being called out by this ecosystem as sponsored propaganda by the Modi government to whip up a communal frenzy and divide Hindus and Muslims. If you don't believe me, listen to these politicians who are trying to suggest that Hindus are lying and that the film is a fabrication. I want to run you through some of their quotes, viewers, on national TV tonight before I play out their sound bites, their feckless sound bites. First of all, viewers, the Congress government told the NHRC that Kashmiri Hindus moved on their own, can't call them internally displaced. Displacement has been self-imposed. This lie was perpetuated time and again. If the Congress government did it in 1996, then a Congress-supported government did it in 1997. The word migrant is more appropriate. Not possible to identify the wrongdoers when they were confessing on national TV, viewers. These people, these great governments could not identify the wrongdoers. Property restoration, compensation is also not possible. I'm not saying this. This is what those governments told the NHRC, not once but twice. Nasir Hussain of the Congress today says, and he's a member of parliament, there have been no targeted killings in Kashmir. To say only one community targeted is not right. Targeting Congress, not VP Singh, Jagmohan, is absurd, he says. And this after, viewers, I have brought out the files. The files that point towards a cover-up, supported with documents. Saifuddin Soz, another Congress party member of parliament erstwhile, said no Kashmiri Muslims have been attacked, Kashmiri Pandits. This never happened. Viewers, Randeep Surjewala, showing movies and fueling hatred will not work. Government must answer, when will rehabilitation happen? Of course the government needs to answer. But showing movies and fueling hatred, is that the purpose of these movies, viewers? No. Its makers have told us that their only intent is to correct the narrative. Jeetu Patwari, member of Parliament of the Congress, wrong to spread fear and hatred for political gain. I'm also a Kashmiri Pandit. My family fled to Madhya Pradesh. Jo beet gayi, so baat gayi. Imagine, viewers, imagine, had that been told by somebody to the victims of several riots that have taken place in this country. Jo beet gayi, so baat gayi. Forget it. Mehbooba Mufti of the PDP says promoting Kashmir files, weaponizing Hindus' pain. Instead of healing, they're tearing apart old wounds. Justice heals, viewers. Justice heals. Mehbooba Mufti failed to deliver justice. She promoted the very people who betrayed the confidence of Kashmiri Hindus. Badruddin Ajbal, Assamese MP, leader of the AUDF, says Centre and Assam government should ban the movie. It will cause communal tensions and create rifts. Some of these individuals attended the premieres of movies that were made, viewers, on Gujarat riots, on the post-Babri Masjid demolition riots in Mumbai and Maharashtra, and several other films. At that time, those movies were speaking the truth, but Kashmir Files somehow is fudging it. Bizarre, viewers. Look at the hypocrisy. Mamata Banerjee, West Bengal Chief Minister, movies mostly fiction. Don't get violent because of it. Viewers, Sushil Pandit, Sunanda Vashisht, who are going to be on this panel, they witnessed, they felt the horror. To tell them that their pain is fictitious is the greatest insult, viewers. It's not only insensitive, it's an insult. Akhilesh Yadav, Samajwadi chief, if Kashmir Files can be a movie, then so can Lakhimpur Files. People should know about violence in Lakhimpur Kheri too. Look at the moral elasticity, viewers. Look at the false equivalences that are being drawn. You're talking about a genocide, viewers, a genocide. Anyhow, you listen to the bites, and then I'm going to open this up, viewers, and we're going to ask some of those who can today brush aside this genocide as a fiction on what makes them dare do this. First, listen to the sound bites.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we are against anybody being killed. Even a single person being killed, whether he is a Pandit or not a Pandit, a Muslim or not a Muslim, anybody. In Jammu and Kashmir, if you look at the list of people those have been killed by militants, I don't think there has been any targeted killing of any one caste or one community. Militants have done that. We have condemned that. Targeting Congress for something that was done during the time when Mr. VP Singh was the Prime Minister and BJP was supporting his government, and when Mr. Jagmohan Singh was the governor, is something which is very absurd.
फिल्म देख दिखाकर नफरत और बंटवारे से और नफरत की खेती से जिंदगियां नहीं चलेंगी। मोदी जी ये बताएं, हमारे कश्मीरी पंडित भाई बहनों का पुनर्वास कब तक कर देंगे? आज एक तारीख दे दें, हम उनकी तारीफ करेंगे। हिंदुस्तान में फिल्म नहीं है, चलचित्र नहीं है, हिंदुस्तान वास्तविकता है। हिंदुस्तान फिल्मों से नहीं चलेगा, हिंदुस्तान सरकार के शासन और नीति से चलेगा।
मैं एटोर पर मैं देखाও নাই, मैं सिनेमा देखा নাই। এনেকুৱা কোনো এটা ফিল্ম যিমান জলদি হয় দিল্লী গভর্নমেন্টে, সেন্ট্রাল গভর্নমেন্টে আর আমার ব্রডকাস্টিং মিনিস্ট্রিয়ে একটু ব্যান্ড করে দিব লাগে। আজি আমার ভারতবর্ষের এই পরিবেশটো নাই। 30-40 বছর আগৰ এটা ঘটনা, তাৰপিছত তো নীলিৰ ঘটনা হৈছে আৰু বিভিন্ন জায়গাৰ ঘটনা হৈছে। এটোৰ ওপৰত তো কোনো ফিল্ম বনোৱা নাই। এইটো বনোৱা হৈছে অনলি to create communal feelings আর একটু বড়ার কারণে যে হিন্দু মুসলমানের ভিতরে একটা খোঁজিয়া হোক, মারামারি হোক।
Immediately after the elections in UP and in the other states that happened this time, you find a very aggressive posturing by the RSS to generate a grand narrative of Indian history. The only weapon in their hand is communal polarization. Because this Kashmir files now, the Prime Minister itself appeals to the people, and many BJP governments, state governments have said, waive the entertainment tax on this film.
Viewers, let's open this up. The charge is that this is a fiction, that this movie is a tool to communalize, weaponize the pain of Kashmiri Hindus. Sunanda Vashisht, how do you respond?
I'm just amazed. I have seen this all my life. It's black humor, actually. I have seen this all my life. They have indulged in victim shaming all their lives. For years, they told us, Rahul, that you don't agree with us, you don't like our book, write your own book. You don't like our movie, make your own movie. Now we are writing our own books, we are making our own movies, and now they call us propaganda. What is propaganda? Propaganda is dissemination of information, truth, facts, arguments, rumors, or lies to influence public opinion. I would like all these people who are talking today to tell me, what are the lies that are being spoken, or what are the lies that are being shown in this movie? Did Girija Tikku case not happen? Did Sarvanand Kaur Premi case not happen? Did thousands, was Al-Safa not printed? Were hit lists not given? What are they talking about? I will tell you what this is really. This is, they do not want to give this whole thing, they don't want to give us the dignity of being, it just makes me very emotional today. But they want to deny us dignity even in our extreme pain. What is genocide? I will tell you 10 stages of genocide. And this is my open question to your panelists here today and to everyone. There are 10 stages of genocide according to Gregory Stanton. There is classification, symbolization, discrimination, dehumanization, organization, polarization, preparation, persecution, extermination, and denial. We are at the last stage of this genocide now, the stages of genocide. I want any of them who have denied us this story, I want them to say which of these. I can give examples of each one. Under each stage, I can give you hundreds of examples where we fit, where examples of each stage. Can they give examples of any of this stage? And just one more point. This is not new. Sheikh Abdullah, tallest leader of Kashmir, he, in his book, Atish-e-Chinar, clearly called Kashmiri Pandits fifth columnists. When they can deny this. When he calls them fifth columnists, even before this wave of terrorism has started, what was he doing? He was calling Kashmiri Pandits enemies, agents of enemy state. He was calling India enemy state. He was calling us enemies of Kashmir. So when he was doing this othering, this is the example of classification. I can give you thousands. This has started right from there. This is not new for us. I know you are very surprised by this, that how are they denying something that we have eyewitnesses for? But this is not anything new for us. I have seen this all my life. I have seen them deny our eyewitness stories. I have seen them deny our truth on our face. They will tell us that only 200, there's some obscene number, only 290 people died. But who was making lists of these people who were dying? People, instruments of the state that had already collapsed. Where are you? That is why we are saying open an inquiry. Find out how many people were killed. Find out how many women were raped. Find out how many houses were burned. Find out how many properties were vandalized. Find out how many temples were vandalized. Then we will talk about this. You know, just saying that 209 people or 290 people died and therefore this is not a genocide, that is wrong. And just by saying that, just because this, you are showing this on 35 mm, so this is propagating some kind of hatred. When Haider was released, I didn't see any of them saying this. Haider was released in 2014. Kashmiri Pandits like me, all we did was we wrote about it in newspapers, but there was nothing we could do. We swallowed that indignity. You know, Haider was shown in, I think the point of reference, the year shown was 1995. In 1995, Vishal Bhardwaj's Kashmir only had mosques, women covering their hair, men with guns, and men in jail, Muslims in jail. There were Muslims everywhere. In Vishal Bhardwaj's Kashmir, there was not one Hindu shown. There was not one reference of Hindu shown. Vishal Bhardwaj's camera did not stop on one dilapidated and one burnt house of Kashmiri Hindu. Was that not a propaganda? And what did we say at that point? We said, fine, that is their point of view. It's okay. All we did was we registered our protest. We told them that this is wrong. None of this Vishal Bhardwaj's story is not the right story of Kashmir, but that's how we protested. And when we tell our story, what are they telling us? They are saying this is propaganda. This is not, we absolutely reject this. We want them to come and tell us that what seen in the film is wrong. Is there any incident that has been depicted in the film that is not right? Why are they squirming in their seats if truth is shown to them? Can they not take the truth? If they cannot take the truth, they cannot even take any investigation. They are worried that now the investigation will open, all kinds of worms will open, their collusion and their collaboration will come out. That is what they are worried about. But you know what? India has changed. Look at how people are responding to this film. India has changed. This is not going to help anymore. You cannot victim shame. You cannot tell me that my story is not true. You cannot tell me what I witnessed with my eyes is not true.
Well, let me tell you, Sunanda Vashisht, I'm going to open lines to our viewers tonight. And I'm going to let the viewers tell some of our panelists who are here representing the Congress or the National Conference what they think of this campaign. What they think of this campaign to project the victims of a genocide as liars. Let's, Pranesh, open this up. Let's open this up to the viewer out there. I want to bring in Advocate Niloufar Masood, member of the National Conference. And I want to begin by pointing out two facts to you I hope you do believe in the NHRC, the National Human Rights Commission. And I want to show you two graphics, 2 and 3. In 2000-2001, the NHRC pulled up the Farooq Abdullah government. These are the NHRC's words. NHRC regrets to observe that committee that was set up to look into the complaints of Kashmiri Pandits has not always functioned with the regularity expected of it or received cooperation that is required. The very next year, the NHRC pulls up the Abdullah government once again and says NHRC was assured that problems facing Kashmiri Pandits would be given priority, attention. Regrettably, this has not been the case. Today, Ms. Nilufar Masood, are you going to now compound the earlier travesty by telling Sunanda Vashisht that she's a liar? By telling Sushil Pandit that he's a liar, that he's a propagandist for the BJP, for Mr. Modi? Is that what you're going to say?
Rahul, just give me a minute, please. We cannot take half-truth. Because of the reason when you are speaking only about the Pandits, somewhere what it does or it is doing is with respect to the polarization, what is being done by all those who want such situations in their favor where they want to get benefit out of it. The history is being shown as such, as if all the Muslims were as against the Kashmiris. Kashmiri Files, in fact, this movie to me exposes the criminal mindset which believes in polarization, disturbing the secular nature. There is no doubt that Kashmiri Pandits were victims of the terrorism, but at the same time, we too were. We have faced terrorism. Nobody talks about that. I don't find today any difference between my country and the Pakistan, as both are trying to use the sentiments of a particular sect for their advantage. This is very pathetic. Both countries are using the religious radical cards, thus entangling the issue and making it more difficult to untie the complex knots. The position of the Kashmiri Muslims is not different from Kashmiri Pandits itself. We have grown up here under the shadow of the terrorism, gun, security bankers. In our neighborhood, we have found them. With a feeling that troops from outside Kashmir are ruling the valley with the barrel of the gun. The cycle of the hatred thus spans generation. And hope for the Kashmiri Pandits returning, in fact the hope for the Kashmiri Pandits returning to the Kashmir seems very bleak with each passing day. Nobody talks about that. The violence has in fact polarized Hindus and Muslims. Nobody talks about that. And Kashmir File is again a pathetic attempt to disrupt the brotherhood, secularism, and deepen the polarization. Nobody talks about, Rahul, just give me a minute, let me complete. The first militant attack in the year 1989, it was on the Muslim police officer Ali Muhammad Watali. Nobody talks about that. The first civilian who was killed in the terrorist attack.
Nilufar Masood.
Yusuf
No, one second. Nilufar Masood, let me tell you. The attacks that you're claiming are happening on Muslims in Kashmir are real, and they are happening at the behest of jihadis, of Islamist terrorists. That at last, one second, ma'am, I didn't interrupt you, please. That at last recollection, your boss, Omar Abdullah, hailed as the real sons of Kashmir, Burhan Wani and Afzal Guru. When Afzal Guru was hanged, Mr. Abdullah, who was in Kashmir, actually accused the Congress party. You have individuals amongst your ranks who attend the funerals of these terrorists. Madam, can you have the guts today to say that people like Burhan Wani were traitors, were not ideal Muslims, that Sayyid Salahuddin is a Hewan, a shaitan? Can you say it tonight? If you can, ma'am, the argument and the debate ends. Say it. Say that Burhan Wani, Afzal Guru are Hevans and Shaitans. That Gilanis are the same. That Mirwais Farooq and Yasin Malik who confessed, especially Yasin Malik who confessed, that Bitta Karate who confessed to killing Kashmiri Hindus are Hevans. And show me where, madam, you find. No, you just answer the question.
We are commenting on the movie. Please
now you are commenting on the movie. I'm only asking you, ma'am. अगर आप कहती हैं कि no 1 minute. No, Nilofar Masood, I am not going to get into a world war with you, please.
No,
I am not getting into a world war. I am only asking for the truth tonight. If you believe that Kashmiri Muslims are being killed, are you not going to tell me who is killing them? Who is killing them? They are being killed by Islamist jihadis who want to plant the flag of ISIS, the black flag that your boss, Omar Abdullah, the people who carried that, please shut her down. I'm not going to have this person shout me down. I'm not going to shout. I'm done with the shouting. I'm just going to say, Omar Abdullah, when you were chief minister and young men were running through the streets carrying the ISIS banner, you said there are misguided youth. Am I wrong, Mr. Pandit?
Not at all. Somebody just
respond to this.
Yes. Thank you for having me here. Good evening, Rahul. I just have to remind the spokesperson of National Conference that Farooq Abdullah, none other than Farooq Abdullah himself from Hazrat Bal, speechifying in Kashmiri, said that these stone pelters are pelting the stones at security forces for the sake of Watan, their nation. They are not pelting stones because they want to become MLAs, MPs or ministers. And then, in the very second breath, he said, these Hurriyatwalas must not treat us as their enemies. He's talking about himself, and he is telling Hurriyat that we are not your enemies. We are working for the same cause and let's collaborate. He said this in Kashmiri, and he is on record, he is on tape having said that. Now the point is, in the entire argument I heard of this National Conference spokesperson, she says the first victim of jihad in Kashmir was a Muslim.
Yes.
Now, all right, the first victim of jihad in Kashmir was a Muslim, but was it because he was a Muslim? Or was it because he treated his patriotism more important than his faith? He did not allow that conflict to even take place. This man, whoever laid his life for Kashmir fighting jihad, be it a Hindu or a Muslim, did so for his nation. Whereas Hindus died at the hands of bigots for being just Hindus and no other fault. Can you deny this? Two, they always try and balance the exodus of Hindus with the exodus of Muslims. In an earlier debate in another channel, Rahul, I was responding to this very argument. They say even Muslims had to flee Kashmir. Why are you always lamenting your own exodus? 99.9% of Hindus had to flee Valley, and 99% of Muslims, 99.9% of Muslims stayed put in Valley. They were not forced to leave Valley. And between the two contrasts, you think there is an equal weight and one cancels the other? Mehbooba Mufti says, when you seek for justice, you are actually weaponizing pain. Her words. She's accused filmmakers of weaponizing the pain of Hindu victims in Kashmir jihad. She doesn't want to acknowledge genocide. And she certainly doesn't want to be reminded of the fact that an entire generation of school children in Kashmir were weaponized into stone pelters by her government, by her system, by her political colleagues, and by her constituency. That is not weaponization. But asking for justice is weaponizing pain. This is the level of hypocrisy to which we've descended in our political discourse. She says, going further, that don't tear apart the communities. Hello? The communities were torn apart in 1990 when Kashmiri Hindus were expelled from Kashmir lock, stock and barrel. You tore apart not just a community out of Kashmir, you tore apart lives. Countless lives within that community which are still waiting to be repaired, which are still waiting for justice, which are still waiting for acknowledgement to start with. And they have the temerity to say that this is a propaganda.
This is the propaganda. The propaganda, viewers, is being spread by these individuals. And I have asked our viewers to call, and we are going to speak to them right now. I'm going to go across to Mr. Lakshman, calling in from Gandhinagar, seen from Bengaluru. Mr. Lakshman, first you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Rahul, it is not Bengaluru, it is Gandhinagar, Gujarat.
Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Yes, sir, I know.
Okay. And I have a couple of comments. Number one, Congress is a lying party. They have no shame. They cannot acknowledge the truth. And I don't understand why they are still around. Our entire history has been taught to us wrong. I really don't trust Congress one bit. As far as the lady from Kashmir is concerned, the Kashmiris are getting blamed for this genocide because they kept quiet. The honest Muslims should have come forward to protect the Hindu Brahmins.
Well, we need to have a commission of inquiry instituted. Yes, I'm coming out to you, Mr. Sanam Shah. Just give me 3 minutes. I'm coming out to you. I'm just listening to some of our viewers. They also have a say on this show. Scene calling in. Scene, go ahead.
Sean,
go ahead, please.
Yeah. Sean here. I am very worried about the situation in Kashmir, and I feel that it is about time that the Muslim community also side by us, that, what the Kashmiris have done to our Hindu Pandits is very, very sad.
Let's go further in. Dilip calling in from Pune and Rajiv Malik calling in from Chennai. Mr. Malik, go ahead.
Yeah. First thing, there's accountability. Yeah, who was then Home Minister at that moment, at that time? And second thing, who was the governor at that moment? And second thing, my humble request is, already, India is, coming of so much of, communalism debate. And don't bring, this is Muslim versus Hindus, Muslim versus Hindus. This is really not acceptable. My humble request is, if you start talking about genocide, I ask people, you can take from 1947 to date, how many Muslims died? They can have a guts to know.
Well, they all deserve justice, sir. Everyone deserves justice. If someone is making a petition for justice through a movie, that can't be stopped and can't be just ridiculed as propaganda. That way, no one will ever have the courage to demand justice by either writing their story or by approaching the press. Everything will be dismissed as propaganda. So this is a bad precedent. Deepa calling in from Bengaluru. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah. Deepa, go ahead. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Rahul. As a woman, I'm not talking about politics and anything. I just want to say, if you really have a conscience, if they have any conscience at all, if they are human beings, then I should feel sorry for what they did and at least be able to, try to right the wrong. Say that, yes, we are ashamed of what we did to the people and at least, punish the people who did all this kind of...
Very important point. Punish. Justice needs to be delivered. Even if it has been delayed, it must be delivered.
Yes.
Ms. Deepa is absolutely right. Thank you very much. Let me go straight across now to Mr. Sanam Shah. Sanam Shah, you have heard some of our viewers, and they are making an impassioned plea to dignify the suffering of the Kashmiri Hindus. Will you at least do that, Mr. Sanam Shah, without equivocation?
Thank you, Mr. Rahul ji. My question is for Modi, not for you. Hindu Kashmiri, Muslim Kashmiri is suffering. Who is responsible, sir? Who is responsible? मैं राहुल जी एक कश्मीरी पंडितों के माध्यम से एक शेर यहां पे बोलना चाहता हूं। गले में हार डाला था गला सजाने को, पर ये जालिम नाग बन बैठा गला ही काट खाने को। सर, हम कश्मीरी फिल्म के अगेंस्ट नहीं हैं, हम उस सोच के अगेंस्ट हैं। आप रिकॉर्ड चेक करना चाहते हैं, आप करें रिसर्च सर। कश्मीरी मुसलमानों का कितना वहां पे बच्चों का रेप हुआ, कश्मीरी पंडितों का वहां पे कितना रेप हुआ कि 1 लाख से 1.5 लाख कश्मीरी 1948 से लेकर 2022 तक सर मारे गए हैं। सर, मैं इस चीज को ऊपर कंडेम करता हूं। मैं सिर्फ दुख इस बात पे करना चाहता हूं, सर फिल्म बनाने वाला अनुपम खेर जो एक्टर है, सर धारा 370 और 35 के बाद उस आदमी ने कहा था मैं कश्मीर में अपना घर बनाऊंगा। सर आज सनम शाह पूछता है कि उसका घर कश्मीर में है या अमेरिका में है।
ओह गॉड। सनम शाह जी 1 मिनट। सनम शाह जी सुन लीजिए, एक बात सुन लीजिए।
जी जी।
आप अभी भी घाटी में कश्मीरी हिंदुओं की हिफाजत नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। कुछ दिन पहले ही हमारे एक बंधु मारे गए थे कोल्ड ब्लड में, आप भूल गए साहब? तब तो आप लोग घड़ियाली आंसू बहा रहे थे, आप भूल गए। 1 मिनट, आपका जवाब नहीं 1 मिनट रुक जाइए। आपका जवाब जो है मैं डॉक्टर त्रिवेदी से ही, आपका जवाब डॉक्टर त्रिवेदी देंगे, मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट और बीजेपी। आपने कुछ सवाल पूछे, वो ही देंगे आपको जवाब। डॉक्टर त्रिवेदी, रिस्पॉन्ड टू दिस कांग्रेस लीडर सनम शाह, रिस्पॉन्ड टू सनम शाह सर।
Sanam Shah has started the thing with one couplet. I would also like to say from Kashmiri Hindus on behalf of them कि बहुत जुदा है इस दर्द की कैफियत मेरी, बहुत जुदा है इस दर्द की कैफियत मेरी, इधर मेरे दर्द की इंतहा नहीं और तू कहता है कि जख्म दिखता नहीं। And unfortunately these words of these type of words which Sanam Shah has used, they are coming from that party whose president claims that he is a descendant of Kashmiri Pandits और जो कुर्ते के ऊपर जनेऊ पहनते हैं, and he is representing a state Kerala and the Kerala Congress is giving these type of things. Sir, in this era of electronic and social media, the visuals are available not only in the living memory but also in the documented files कि ISIS के झंडे कौन लगते थे बताइए? मेरी जान पाकिस्तान पाकिस्तान, बताइए क्यों लगते थे ये? हर जुमे की नमाज के बाद एक हुजूम निकलता था और वो किसी की भी किलिंग कर देता था, चाहे वो अयूब पंडित ही क्यों ना हो सामने। एज सुशील पंडित हैज सेड, almost 100% of the Kashmiri Hindus have migrated. Can you tell even 1% of the Kashmiri Muslims have migrated? When Zakir Musa says ये कोई कश्मीरियत की लड़ाई नहीं, इस्लामी खलीफत की लड़ाई है, कौन बोलता था? बहुत अच्छा लॉजिक दिया जाता है कि कोई रिलीजन नहीं होता, टेररिज्म का रिलीजन नहीं होता, बट जैसा ही टेररिस्ट हो जाता है उसका रिलीजन हो जाता है। बुरहान वानी का रिलीजन है, अफजल गुरु का रिलीजन है, याकूब बेनन का रिलीजन है और इशरत जहां का रिलीजन है, मगर वैसे रिलीजन नहीं होता। वन मोर थिंग, वन सेंटेंस आई वुड लाइक टू कंक्लूड विद राहुल। They are very expert in setting up the narrative. They are saying that nothing happened in Kashmir. Yes, I accept. You are the people who said कि वो एक डिस्प्यूटेड स्ट्रक्चर जिसमें 55 साल से नमाज नहीं पढ़ी गई थी, 43 साल से मूर्ति पूजा हो रही थी, वो मस्जिद था। यू आर द पीपल जिसने कहा 84 में तो सिर्फ बड़ा पेड़ गिरा था, धरती हिली थी, कुछ हुआ थोड़ी था। यू आर द पीपल जिन्होंने 1947 में 20 मिलियन पीपल डाइड and 1.75 crore were displaced. This is the biggest exodus and the bloodiest massacre in the documented history of mankind. और आपने कहा बगैर खून की बूंद बहाए आजादी मिल गई। So the narratives which you have propagated, the fact which are coming is evident in the front of people. Now the rate of literacy is not 10 or 11% as was it for the time of 1947. Now people are literate enough, people are wise enough, informed enough that these type of narratives, pathetic narratives,
Doctor,
are not going
one
to
question I have. One minute, 1 second, Sanam Shah, 1 second, please. One question I have for you, Dr. Trivedi, and this is a question that I'm asking on behalf of all those who have watched this movie, all those who are today wondering when Kashmiri Hindus will get justice. So I'm asking you a small question. When will a commission of inquiry be set up now by your government? You see, Sanam Shah has talked about a large number of victims on the Muslim side of the fence. Lots of commissions have been set up to investigate crimes that were committed legitimately against these hapless Muslims. And they should have been, and why not? Everyone deserves, as I said, a shot at justice. Even when the Sikhs were massacred, commissions were set up, almost 30 of them. In Gujarat, commissions were set up. But not one commission has been set up in this particular genocide. So I'm asking you, Dr. Trivedi, can you give me a timeline? Can you give an express answer to Sunanda Vashishji, who was, demanding
a
this?
Very appropriate question. You have raised a very appropriate question. Because of the side of Article 370, the government of India was not having that type of power which was with the other states we are having. With this, I want to give an example. You know, there was only one state in India which was not secular. That was Kashmir. Because in 1976, when 42nd Constitutional Amendment has changed the constitution as secular, Kashmir Assembly has adopted the 6-year term of the Assembly. That's why they were having 6-year term. But they have not adopted the secular word. But they have become secular after August 2019. So now the government has got full authority. So all those 70,000 crore rupees which were provided by our government, and first time the areas were earmarked where the Kashmiri Pandits will come and they will be rehabilitated. The process has started, और at least इतना तो मानना ही पड़ेगा. अब ना ISIS के झंडे दिखते हैं, ना पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद के नारे दिखते हैं, ना महबूबा मुफ्ती कहती थी कि तिरंगे को कंधा देने वाला नहीं मिलेगा, तो डल लेक के बाहर 26 जनवरी को तिरंगे की झड़ी दिखती है. इसलिए now the situation has come, and rest assured, under Sri Prime Minister Modi ji's rule, definitely Kashmiri Pandits will get its legitimate due.
Will get their due. Sunanda Vashish, respond. And specifically, I want you to also respond to these two rebuttals that have been issued today by National Conference and the Congress representatives. What have they said?
We are having an honest dialogue here, Rahul.
Yes.
We are having a totally honest dialogue here because there is no time for rhetoric anymore.
No.
It's a completely honest question. I want to ask the spokesperson of National Conference and spokespersons of Congress here today. We are not denying killing of patriotic Muslims, not for 1 minute. They were killed for having faith in Indian state. For those crimes, for those killings, there are laws of Indian state where the perpetrators can be punished. But for genocide, for what happened to Kashmiri Hindus, there are no laws at the moment. Unless you have genocide laws, you cannot even punish those who for what happened to us. Because as I said, there are 10 stages of genocide, and we have seen continual genocide, if not continuous genocide, for 700 years. This is our 7th Exodus now. So none of them can compare their pain. Pain should not be compared, but none of them should compare their situation with our situation. Tell me, ask them, these Congress persons, Rahul, did any of them have to face slogans like "Aise kaise Kashmir bata usti batn insan"? Did any of them have to face the slogans where people said that they want Kashmir with Muslim women without Muslim men? Were they ever told Galyam Sayyid?
Dekhe, let me tell you.
Ever told they were
Sunanda Vashish, I don't even know if we can ask, 1 minute please, Sanam Shah, just 1 second please. I don't even know if we should ask them this question, because while they call themselves victims, the Congress party told the NHRC, 1 minute, madam, 1 second, just lower everyone's faders. I need to move on. Mr. Anupam Kher is also joining the broadcast. 1 second, viewers, I have to go across to him. We had spoken to him earlier. I need to play out few of his views also, and they're important in the current context. Now, I just want to say, Sunanda Vashisht, you see, I can ask the Congress many questions, and you have asked some, and Mr. Pandit yesterday asked some. But when they define only one section of the population in Kashmir as victims, and the other one as migrants, where is the meeting ground? When they don't even recognize you as victims, what am I going to ask them? Where do I make a beginning? When the National Conference, which set up a committee, did not even allow it to meet and did not even cooperate with it. This is Farooq Abdullah. What question am I going to ask them? The question now I have to ask is my government at the center that is running Kashmir right now. Yes, Ms. Vashisht, yes.
Argument is based on the numbers theory. They keep comparing numbers. That there were 200 people died and 1,000 people died and this died. We reject those numbers. We completely reject those numbers. The minute we reject those numbers, this entire edifice falls.
Absolutely. I'll go straight across now to Mr. Anupam Kher, who I spoke to earlier on precisely this charge against the makers and the actors of this movie. Listen in, viewers. Viewers, Times Now's investigation exposing the cover-up of the real Kashmir files is reverberating. It is setting the national agenda, and it is bringing the spotlight back on those who were the enablers of a genocide. Today, viewers, we are speaking with Mr. Anupam Kher, who is not only one of the lead protagonists of the movie Kashmir Files, but also someone who has suffered directly the privations of the excesses committed against Hindus in the valley. Mr. Kher, thank you for speaking to Times Now. I don't know if you watched the India Upfront expose show last night, but we had unearthed documents that showed that the Narasimha Rao government, the Congress government of that day, had said that the Pandits, that the Kashmiri Hindus left the valley on their own, quote unquote, and that they cannot be classified as internally displaced persons. How do you respond to this brazen denial of the truth, Mr. Kher?
Well, I want to right now first applaud the filmmaker, applaud the audiences all over the world for embracing this film on such a big note. Today, one of the very famous trade pundit, Taran Adarsh, has called it a tsunami hit. So it couldn't have not happened if it did not touch the emotional chord with the audiences. It would have not been possible. No way. And I don't want to make it into a political debate. Maybe for you it is, but it's unfortunate that the ruling government at that time did not think of protecting, of not calling it a genocide. It is a genocide. The film is not based on fiction. It's based on the 700 people that Vivek and Pallavi interviewed all over the world, especially people who have gone and lived abroad. There's a document there. So it's not a fiction. But their philosophy seems to have not worked, the philosophy of this political party. Otherwise, they would have not been in a situation what they are in today. You know that, and I know that, and I'm sure the viewers know that. Because they have not taken care of their people. They have only been interested in what is good for them. So to call so many people who are left refugees in their own country and to call this genocide, whatever you are saying, is unfortunate. It's sad, and it makes me feel that they don't have any ground reality. They want to hide things. They want to make it convenient. But I'm glad that we made this film, and it's getting its due now. The fact that you and I are doing this conversation is a great beginning.
Well, there was a double speak as well. So yesterday we reported, of course, one aspect of it, but the Congress went ahead and said something completely different to an international panel of jurists in 1995. So to the NHRC, it said that these people did not suffer a genocide, that they were just migrants, they left of their own will and accord. But to this particular panel, they said that the Kashmiri Pandits, what they went through was ethnic cleansing. Now, do you believe the condemnation abroad, but a completely different story to a very, very critical organization at home suggests that there was some sort of appeasement policy that the Congress was embarking on?
They are committing a fraud. They are cheating their own people. I don't think appeasement has helped them. Where has appeasement helped them? Where are they today? At the end of it, truth demolishes all kinds of lies. It does happen. Aur kab tak chupa ke rakhe? That means they were so arrogant that they thought that nobody else will come into power, that their lies and their double standards will never get unearthed. But that doesn't happen in life. That has not happened with anybody in the world. So for them to do something like this, they've got the results, unfortunately, but forget about what they have got. But in the process, what they did to 5 lakh Kashmiri Hindus, what they did to people and scarred them for life, finished them for life, destroyed them for life, and they should have not done this on humanity level. Today, Kashmir Files is, I will call it a humanitarian film. It is not about Muslim and Hindus, and it's not about that. If the audiences have seen the film now. So, to speak to foreign dignitaries in a different manner, and how can they never thought that this is going to be on record, that today at one time and one stage, at Times Now will sort of unearth this kind of a thing, and they will ask them, one of the lead actors in the film, that that means it is height of arrogance. Not only arrogance, it's height of insensitivity. It's height, and these people had either no heart or they were so scheming that they thought that they will get away with it. झूठ कुछ देर तक छुपाया जा सकता है, सच को तो बाहर आना ही होता है. बड़ी अच्छी एक लाइन है कि सच वो दिया है जिसे अगर पहाड़ की चोटी पर भी रख दिया जाए तो बेशक रोशनी कम करे लेकिन दिखाई बहुत दूर से देता है. और ये दिया आज सबको दिखाई दे रहा है. आज हजारों की लोग भीड़ में सैलाब के सैलाब लोग देखने जा रहे हैं फिल्म. आई एम नॉट इवन लुकिंग एट इट फ्रॉम ए कमर्शियल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. आई एम लुकिंग एट इट, व्हाई आर दे गोइंग टू सी दिस फिल्म? All over the world, whether it's in Uganda, whether it's in Kenya, whether it is in Frankfurt, whether it is any city over in Kerala, everywhere, because they are horrified that if any government could have done it to them, that it can happen to anybody.
Thank you, Mr. Kher. Thank you very much.
Thank you.